getting there. Hopefully no one's going to kill us that we're late. It's all right. Better late than never. 60%.
60%.
Okay, so it looks like we're on there, but failed to wait. Okay, so Mark, welcome back. Please give us that countdown, man. I've been missing it.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Greetings, citizens! You're now trapped in the nerd cage with your hosts Mark and Jay. We hope you have a smashing good time. Previously on NerdCage live stream. Behold!
Then Predator 2 happened. Okay? Predator 2 is no good. Danny Glover couldn't save that
Highlander
movie.
3 is good, but Predator 2 isn't?
Yes! Yes!
What are you smoking? Because I want some, please. This is incredible.
Yes! Hello and welcome. That's right, you're trapped in NerdCage Live. This ain't just a reaction show, but a debate show and a live discussion on everything that makes people like you and I tick. So thank you for joining us on this lovely Thursday night as the NFL stepped aside for us tonight. So please hit that like button and subscribe. I'm your co-host, Jay St. G, coming to you live from Syracuse, New York. And finally back with me, my man, the warrior from Wakanda, the fiend from Louisville, Mark Withers. And reintroducing the third and fourth members of NerdCage Live from the Windy City, Chicago's finest, from Off the Beaten Podcast, Dion McGill. And from the City of Angels, the man of 1,000 voices, Matthew Farden. Ladies and gentlemen in the chat, give it up for these fine gentlemen.
Yes, rock on, metal it out, yes.
The crowd loves you. The crowd loves you.
The four of us have united and reunited.
Can you believe this? Oh, this is insane. All right. Couldn't resist. Oh, my goodness gracious. Mark and Dion were saving the world a couple of weeks ago, and then Mark had to go save the world again last week, and Matthew's been filling in, man. This is insane.
Hey, like I said, the shoes are too big to fill, man. I'm happy that he's back. They were getting heavy, so I just,
Nonsense. You did great, man. Thank you for filling in.
My pleasure, man. It's overall, it's really nice to see you back on the airwaves, and you're feeling better.
Thanks.
Mark,
Appreciate
I was lost without you, man.
Nah, nonsense, man. You got this. but yeah, like I'm very happy to be back, and like I always say, I'm super excited to be here. And tonight we have what I think is the infinity war of podcasts and live streams. So I'm glad to be a part of it, guys.
And we just want to welcome our friends in the chat here. Paul Tackett, I see you. Elena Jett, thank you for coming in. Anybody else, just shout us out. Where are you from? I mean, we got Louisville, Chicago, and L.A. and Syracuse in the house tonight, man. I mean, taking over the world, NerdCage Live worldwide.
We got the East Coast, Central, and West Coast represent.
That's right.
Dion, man, I haven't seen you in a while. How you been?
Man, what can I say? I'm so excited to be here. I'm always excited to be here. This is to me, it's like Signals Friday. I'm done with my work day. I'm here with great people. We're going to be talking about great stuff. I mean, this is it. This is it. I'm excited.
Right.
Absolutely.
This is the first time being on air with Dion. So, Dion, it's a pleasure to share the airwaves with you, and very nice to meet you.
Oh, absolute pleasure, my man. Absolute. You're such a talent. Just your reputation precedes you. So I'm already like...
Stop. I didn't say. Wait, continue. What were you saying?
I'm already a fan. Absolutely.
I appreciate it, man. I always appreciate it. Thank you.
So I'm just gonna go right off the bat right now. The Boys season 2 just ended last week. And my goodness gracious, what a finale that was. So the most of us in here are caught up. Matt just jumped on the Boys train last week. So Matt, before we get started on everything, Matt, what was your first impression of the Boys?
My first impression, man. So I watched it. It seemed like it was a little. To me, it seemed like it started off a little bit slow, but then once it picked up towards the second half of the first episode, then shit really started hitting the fan. And man, I love the writing. I love the jabs that they're taking. You know, it's all in good fun. But man, did it just like it? You know, a lot of it literally just jumped into like, you know, the dark side of how things are. What would happen if Marvel actually was just run by like a sleazy corporation where everyone is just trying to, you know, get in on a piece of the action, and they're trying to supersede and jump over, and it literally is just like it immersed you so much into like real life. It's like literally if Captain America was like a piece of garbage. And I was just like, wow, this is really crazy, because especially how it starts out, where, you know, you got the guy, he finds out about, you know, hey, I want you to plant the bug and do all this stuff. I was like, oh, they're setting it up for the young, naive kid. A horrible thing happened. He wanted to get back or find out what was going on, so he's working with these seedy people. But then you start realizing the seedy people are trying to get rid of the even seedier, you know, superheroes.
Right.
And it's just,
do you have a favorite character yet?
Which one is my favorite character? To be honest, I like the kid. I forgot what his name is in it, but the main kid that's getting like
Huey.
caught up.
Huey.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like him, and especially his connection with the guys and like doing all
Billy.
Cool. Ooh, so I actually went back because I've been watching it since you guys suggested it to me, but I went back and watched season 1 this past week. I actually watched all of season 1 on Monday. I was off work, and man, it's kind of like what Matt said, but like, because we're so far into it now, it just like went back, and like that very first episode when he's with Robin, because I started thinking, I'm like, what's the last time we even talked about Robin? But like seeing that first moment, and especially the special effects of like when A-Train hits her, I was like, oh, this is why I fell in love with this show,
Right.
It was just so like, oh man, so great. Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's cool. I've actually gone and picked up a few of the comics just to sort of see, because I hadn't really read. I mean, I'd read a few of them here and there, but like I hadn't really like gotten into that comic book series before the show. And so just like maybe like a week or so ago, I grabbed a bunch of them. I've been kind of going through them and seeing like, some of the minor differences, some of the liberties that they've taken.
That's what I was going to talk about real quick is, the Amazon show is going in a different some liberties from the comics there, because you know what? Because we were speculating, like I remember Paul in the chat was talking about in our previous spoiler discussion that we thought that Black Noir was a clone, and then we found out he's not, and of course we all know about the whole Stormfront where they gender bend.
Yeah, they gender swap.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually like that they're taking these liberties, so even the diehard fans who read the comics are still gonna be in for fucking surprises and shit,
Mm-hmm.
So that's the beauty of it.
Right. I think like, when Kirkman did, The Walking Dead, and then they brought that to TV and they diverged those stories, I think that opened up something really good for like these types of adaptations. Because if you are like a fan of the comic, you don't want to know everything that's going to, like, especially like the big stuff, like you don't want to know what's going to happen. It's much better to have like, you know, the film adaptation or the TV adaptation, like take a completely different direction. And that way it stays interesting for you, you know? And then we can always have discussions like this where we're just like, oh, well, I read the comic and this is what happened there. But, you know, like I think that they made a very smart decision by doing that. And I hope that it doesn't go too off the rails as far as like too far away from the source material. But I do like that they're taking a different turn with it.
And I'm glad that you have that too, because I'm literally going into this with just like both barrels not loaded. Like I just don't know. I'm just going straight in this. As, you know, I just went off of Jay just saying it's the boys. It's basically parodying, making fun of Marvel, and that's all the information that I went off of. I haven't read the comics. I haven't looked into the lore, so I just wanted to just go in, you know, like basically just with, you know, nothing already tantalizing in my head, like thinking about things. So
Cool. I don't know if you guys did this. I didn't the first time. So the second time I went through, I'm actually going through like the Amazon X-ray stuff. And so it kind of has like I didn't look at any of that stuff the first time through. So just some of the like tips and like, I love the fact that it makes fun of itself by pretending it's a real, you know, it's like a real world. It's like, oh, this scene, he's holding the A-Train doll, which you can buy at the Vought store. I'm like, I didn't want to see if there really is a Vought store. Like, I don't know.
I'm sure there is. I mean, there are Vought commercials, so, you know.
And it's so great. Yeah, absolutely. Adds a totally different dimension to the show, you know. So for me going through it again, there was still tons of stuff to like enjoy and discover. And so that was great.
Cool.
Yeah, and then it's funny. And then we get into the second season. I'm not spoiling too much for you, Matt. But in the second season, they start. They take a shot at DC, and they when they find out when Homelander spills the beans on Queen Maeve, you know, about her, you know, sexuality and whatnot. So then they start filming this movie called Dawn of the Seven, which is clearly making fun of Dawn of Justice, Batman versus Superman.
Even like the font choices and like the color grading and like all the stuff that has to do with like the faux movie, like it's 100% Justice League. It's hilarious. Like that was like such a good like little jab at them. So
I'm looking at the chat right now. The lovely Cindy Lou Withers is in here. She said, I'm not even watching the show. I'm just here to support y'all. Thank you very much. Paul Tackett, I love the beatdown. I know exactly what you're talking about. We will get to that. And Kat F just said, just started watching the after show hosted by the beautiful Aisha Tyler with different cast members. Oh, that's cool. I didn't even know that it was even out.
Oh, so, yeah. Like I've never watched it, but people have been saying that it's really good.
Oh, okay. I have to check it out.
It's worth a watch.
Nice. Oh God, I love Aisha Tyler because like I remember like back in the day, like after I get out of school, she used to host this show called The Fifth Wheel, which was a really funny dating show back in the day. And so she's like intricate in my childhood growing up.
I remember her from Talk Soup. Does anybody else remember her from that show?
Oh, Talk Soup. Yeah.
When Joel McHale left to do Community, they replaced him with her for a while.
Right.
And so that was like the first time I remember seeing her.
So also,
and then, of course, Archer.
There's also a spin-off in the works. In case no one in the chat knew about this, they are doing a spin-off of the series. I don't know what they're calling it, but I guess it's gonna be about Soups, you know, in college.
In college, yeah. I'd heard about that. Okay. So how do you guys feel about that? Because, like, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit, like, on the fence about it.
Same here. I have to agree with Mark on this one.
Yeah.
I want more.
I get that. But here's the thing.
I'm indifferent at the moment, so when the time comes.
Well, here's why. I'll give my case, and then Mark will give his case. I'm just going to say right now, what worries me is I'm so happy that the show's blown up, but do you remember when The Walking Dead first came out? And that blew up, and then we got like 2 different spin-offs going on during different parts of the year, and I felt like I got sick of The Walking Dead, and I was drowning in it, and I stopped, and I quit, and I just hope The Boys doesn't spreads themselves too thin. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to work properly too. If you do a spin-off, it has to literally go into another direction, either with a character or a certain set of side characters, or as opposed to like the spin-offs for The Walking Dead literally just went like Walking Dead like 2.0, where they just like skewed just a little bit, but it's still, you know, the premise and everything was still very like similar. If you're gonna do a spinoff, I want to see something completely different in the same universe, but it's like focusing on something completely different.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and that's kind of like my take on it. You know what I mean? Like when I hear stuff like, you know, like, oh, it's going to be The Boys, but it's going to be like, you know, kids in college and stuff like that. Like the first thing that comes to my mind is Muppet Babies. I feel like they're just going to do like a younger version of these characters, even though they're probably not going to be the same characters. We're going to get the same archetypes, and like it's just going to be like miniature versions or younger versions of the characters that we actually are used to. I'd much rather see like something that has more to do with like maybe the origin of Vought, or like, you know, the inner workings of that, or maybe another set of soups that are not in the 7. Like maybe their whole thing is to try to get into the 7. Like, you know, something like that if you're going to do some kind of a spin-off. But I don't know. I mean, you know, I'm saying all this, but then I'm sure that when it comes out, I'm going to be like, dude, this is like the greatest.
And I think what they're trying to go for, from what I'm hearing, like I said, I'm just speculating, is that it's gonna be like X-Men. You know, people with abilities competing in a school. You know,
Right.
I think that's what they're kind of thinking, is like they're gonna go in the more the X-Men like direction. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Right.
Well, I'm sure, and especially with you know, it's a demographic thing. I'm sure they've started. Obviously, you know, the younger demographics will still be, you know, if they're old enough, watching The Boys. But I'm sure they still want to like target like the college, you know, the college level and stuff like that.
And
I'm sure. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and one thing that kind of jumped out to me, like going back and watching season 1, was like early in the first and second episode, they talk about all the other soups that Vought owns, and how, you know, and there's a scene where they're debating about bringing the Nubian prince from Chicago to Detroit. You know, so to me, the idea of all these other people that we've never even thought of or seen,
Exactly.
You know, in some other context that's not directly related to these characters and the 7, I would totally be game for. Totally
Right.
game for.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I mean, we know we're getting season 3. We know we're getting the spin-off. I mean, I know there's only like 80 issues of the comics. So like, I mean, I kind of hope they do what Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul has been doing, whereas they take their sweet ass time between seasons, whatever long they take to get the writing right, whatever long they take to get the filming right. I don't want them to rush out and pump out season 3. I am willing to wait, and I'm willing to, while I'm waiting, I'm just going to go around the world spreading the word and getting more people to watch, including my mother, if I can get her on board, and of course our guest from last week, Matthew from Monstrosities.
think that
I'm about to watch The Boys, Jason. Here we go. What is this?
I just want to see my mom's reaction. I really do, because I know what's coming, and I just want to see her react. You know, so.
Oh man, you're not a good son, man. Come on.
Always got to keep your mother on her toes.
Straight judgment.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I just like seeing my mom's reaction. Okay, I sometimes I'm a terrible son, and just like sometimes I know, like for example, if I show my mom, like I remember I showed my mom the Saw movies and seeing her reaction to those movies.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
it's just funny to see my mom react. You know, I could probably make another YouTube channel called Martha Reacts. See my mom's over the top reaction.
Trying to go
As I terrify her.
Farden brothers on it, like elders react and stuff like that, and like, you know, moms and dads react.
What's like the most shocking thing that you've ever shown your mom? Like, what's the most shocking movie or TV show?
I'm gonna have to. It's probably the Saw movies. She was a trooper. She sat through a bunch of them. I tried to get her to watch The Human Centipede. I tried her to get her to watch the movie Teeth, and she just wouldn't.
What's wrong with
wouldn't. I tried, like, hey mom, you want to watch Human Centipede? She's like, oh no, that sounds awful, and you know, sometimes she'll draw the line. But I feel like The Boys, I can get her in. I
was on board until you said Human Centipede. I don't understand that. I was
See what I'm
totally
saying?
with you until then.
It's just disrespectful.
Your mom's just like, what is this? What am I watching? You just go, it's a science experiment.
Gone horribly wrong.
Oh no.
Okay, I think I just killed the channel. I'm sorry.
Right, yeah.
Good night, everybody.
That's it. Tune in next week. All right, so I'm sorry, Matt. We gotta talk about that goddamn finale. Don't worry. I feel like Matt. You're like far enough behind to where we can kind of get the gray areas in there and not like give away too much. But I want to talk about. There's one line, Marq, on Facebook. Yeah. You said something really, really brilliant on Facebook the other day. And Dion, I saw you caught on to it on. You spread the word when you saw that post. But there's one line in that finale that really, really dug deep.
I know what you're going to say.
Okay, Marq,
exactly
you know where I'm going. So, Marq, go ahead. Just go ahead.
So, all right. And I'm sorry, Matt. This is spoiler territory, but it's far enough ahead that you probably won't get the context. So
yeah, that's okay. It's all good.
All right. So there's a moment where Stormfront is fighting the other heroes, and she says something to the effect of, people like what I'm saying, and they believe in it. They just don't like the word Nazi, that's all. And when she said that, I was like, dude, that is on point.
Did you just rock back in your chair, Marq?
I did exactly like this, like.
Not only that, but I can't believe I'm just like I realized, but I didn't realize until really thinking about it. So I was listening to another podcast, another one I'm a huge fan of, The Weekly Planet. It's a nerdy podcast. Well, they were talking about how one of the things what attracted, not only why Stormfront was attracted to Homelander, besides his powers and stuff and his ways, but the blonde-haired, blue-eye thing.
The Aryan features.
And I'm thinking wow, because she's from that era where, obviously we don't have to dig too deep into history. We all know, but the whole perfect society, blonde hair, blue eye bullshit, right? And then these guys point out, yeah, dude, that's what one of the things she's like. That's like her idol right there. Is that that's what she wants in society? Is that attitude and the look and his powers? Like, she's looking at him as like the perfect, Vought specimen and whatnot.
Yeah. Right. I mean, there's a ton of like subtext to unpack in that relationship. I mean, you talk about an Oedipus complex, in season 1, Homelander has that like weird like relationship with like Elizabeth Shue's character where he like drinks her breast milk and all this like weird stuff.
Yeah.
He's looking for a mother figure, and Stormfront was actually the wife of Frederick Vought, who developed Compound V. So he's sort of like the father of all the superheroes, which makes her a mother figure. And so I think that that's what Homelander is attracted to in her. That's what he sees in her, and like, I just think it's like, I don't know if they meant to do that, but when they put them together, I was like, that is some smart writing.
Yeah, and it's that's not in the comics, obviously. So, brilliant move here.
So creepy.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
Is, right?
And you know what?
Makes it a lot less cool when you think about it.
Okay, now,
way.
Dion and Marq, I want to get you guys' perspective on this one too. There's another line that I don't feel like people are talking about enough, that in the same context, going back to history, but there's a line from Giancarlo Esposito, his character. He says a line in this when Billy Butcher's meeting up with him, talking about the plan and the sabotage and whatever, and separating, and taking the son and whatever. There's one line where he says, "How could you make this Nazi America's sweetheart and blah 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 blah," and then he's like how he's obviously asking because Giancarlo Esposito obviously he's a man of color and whatnot, and then he just and his response was just like, it's when in history has it not been about business? Like, he doesn't care about her ways and stuff. To him, it's always been about business. And I'm like, oh shit, dude, like,
because in In that conversation, doesn't he also say, because he directly refers to Stormfront, he's like, we got to deal with her for right now. Like, he kind of makes it like it's for money and for the popularity, she's what's it. And we're going to roll with it. And you're just kind of like, oh no.
It's amazing how true that is. I mean, how much money has such a stranglehold on a lot of things in life. Like with that, people will just be like, well, strategically, I know this will happen better, so we'll just deal with it until something happens. Until we reach a position where we won't be affected as much, like our pockets, which. That's what I just love about the series is like how truthful it is. It's like looking at literally how it would be. It's completely opposite of what the superheroes are. It's how it would be if the superheroes are just regular corrupt people. Like how and it can happen to anybody. Sure. Unfortunately.
And there was a comment in the chat, and something that jumped out to me because I've been watching some of the interviews and such, and one of them was with the young lady that plays Kimiko, and they were asking her just about the all the kind of subtext of everything, and her and then Alonzo or the gentleman that plays Mother's Milk.
Alonzo.
Yes, they both make this comment. They go, look, this was filmed like over a year ago. He goes that all these concepts and all these kind of like subtexts weren't necessarily intended for, like we didn't know that we'd be in this moment right now having these conversations. And so to me, it's almost like this ingenious writing where like, the writers were like, this is something that's obviously an important topic right now, but even a year down the road, you're just like watching this and like, this was written yesterday.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they filmed it a while ago.
Right, and it's amazing to me. Amazing.
Hey, I just want to get some of these chats here. Steve Lacerdo, welcome. Glad to see you, buddy. Paul Tackett, why she was attracted to Starlight. Atlanta Jet, here's a good one. The best shows are the ones that make commentary on our society today for sure, and that's why they're doing this with this whole white supremacist plot. And shout out to Tina Cobb. Thank you for welcome to NerdCage Live. Glad to see you.
Tina, those are my friends. That's Steve and his girlfriend there. So hi Tina, hi Steve.
Hey guys.
Yes.
They're beautiful people. I will make a shameless plug. It's Halloween. If anybody is interested in seeing a really cool ghost show, right now Steve is one of the main producers. He does the the camera shooting and all the production stuff for. It's called Skeptics, and it's blown up right now. Their last episode that just came out, it's going to be close to like 10,000 views already. And it's a great show. It's if you want something that's 100% like a natural, like no scripted, it's 100% real like ghost show. They go in and they're just really neutral about a lot of stuff. Then check out Skeptics. It's really, really good.
Where can we see it?
Right on YouTube. So just go to Skeptics there. I could probably have Jay put a link in the description or in the bio or something like that. Yeah. But like it's really good. And I know all the guys. I went on the shoots. Everything is 100% real. I can vouch for it because that's the appeal. A lot of people like the show because it's truthful. It doesn't feel like it's scripted or anything. It's 100% like off the cuff. So anyway, sorry,
No, that's good because it's in season. It's in season.
I'm definitely intrigued. Yeah.
And I'm glad that Steve took the time to be in the chat today. I really am. And Titan Goji's in the chat. Give him a shout real quick. I guess I'm gonna spill the beans. He's gonna be on the show December 10th. We're really excited.
Nice.
And we're gonna debate best Christmas movie. So stay tuned for that.
I got mine ready.
All the way.
I'm definitely excited for that one.
My cookies.
And I have plenty of time to prepare to win too. So
yes,
I'll be ready.
But you won't because I got mine. I definitely know I'm gonna win.
Bring it.
Beautiful.
Bring it. All right. So I want to turn it back real quick. Another character that was really, really interesting, and of course they didn't last too long. What'd you guys think of Lamplighter?
Oh yeah, that was awesome and a brilliant move on Amazon's part in casting. What's his name?
Sean Ashmore. Yeah,
man, because if you guys don't realize, he was Iceman in the X-Men movies. So to have Iceman play this like fire character. It's kind of like a nice little clever like play on things, and he did like a really brilliant job. Like he's like, you know, I almost didn't recognize him at first just because his like mannerisms
I didn't either.
About him was like so different. I was like, that's Iceman. You know?
I know, and it's so funny. There's actually a gentleman in the chat right now, Scott Bannock, who's in the chat right now. He's the one that pointed it out to me that night, the night it aired. He goes, dude, do you realize who Lamplighter was? I'm like, he's like, dude, that's Iceman. I'm like, oh my God. Because I haven't seen him.
Oh, snap.
Well, I haven't seen him in like over a decade. The last movie I saw besides the X-Men Days of Future Past, but the last time I seen him in another movie was there's this movie called Frozen. Not the Let It Go. No, not that one. There's another movie called Frozen. It's actually really good. It's about these people, this group of friends who are at a ski resort, and they're on the what do you call those things? The what are the things at the ski resorts with the lift, ski lift?
The lift, yeah.
Yeah. So they're on a ski lift in the middle of the mountain, and then the place closes down, and they're abandoned up there.
Oh, wow.
It's a really good movie, and Sean Ashmore's in that movie, and that was like really the last outside of X-Men. That was like the last time I seen him in a movie, so that's why I didn't like recognize it because it's been like years.
The snow blows white on the lift tonight. My feet are fucking frozen.
Did you just write that right now?
I just did. Yes, I just.
Awesome. Yeah, that should have been the theme song for it.
Cut 'em off. I can't feel the circulation.
But yeah, it's actually no seriousness. It's if you can find the movie, and it's kind of hard to find it because this came out before Frozen, the Disney movie. Yeah, if you can get your hands on it, it's definitely worth a watch. It's, you know, it's actually. I mean, if you've been snowboarding or skiing, you can kind of like relate to these people. Like, oh my God, what if that happened? You know.
Plenty of skiing when I was in high school and stuff. So yeah, I'll definitely be like, oh, I'll feel the chills.
But no, Sean Ashmore puts in a great performance as Lamplighter. I loved his character, and I love that.
I wanted him. Yeah, I wanted like that character to like continue into the next season. I would have liked to see like him confront the rest of the seven as opposed to like, you know, like, or have the rest of the seven confront him.
Actually, dude, I'm hearing rumors that he's not dead.
Okay.
I'm just saying, it's out there.
I don't see how that works.
I don't know either, but there's some articles out there saying that, I don't know, I just rewatched the last episode, and they said that somewhere in the last episode they tease that he's still alive. I mean...
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I hope that's the case, because I would love for him to come back, and... As much as we hate Stormfront, I kind of want her to come back, too, because we need more villains, you know? People they hate, you know, so...
She's not dead. She's not dead. She's just
as if there weren't enough people to hate in this.
She looks like Darth Vader, but she's still there.
I got the high ground.
That'll be her thing. Maybe she'll be like wearing like a kind of Vader-esque kind of uniform going forward.
I'll take it. I'll still take it. I know everyone hates her, but like she's so cute. She's so cute. Like I was watching that scene where her and Homelander are in the alley and they're, you know, roughing the guy up, about to kill him, and I was just like, I get it though. I kind of get it. Like, you know. So yeah, I'll take her as a Robo's whatever.
That would be interesting. I would love to see that personally. I think that'd be pretty damn rad, dude, for real.
Oh, Tina in the chat is saying that she's seen that movie. She's seen the Frozen movie.
Oh, okay, the ski lift movie. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out now. I'm gonna have to look for it. It reminds me like of it's really not the exact same plot, but the very first time I ever saw Sean Ashmore was when he was a little kid. He was on this show on Discovery Kids called Real Kids, Real Adventures, and they would dramatize like these situations where like kids were like stranded somewhere or like something
I think I remember watching
traumatic happened. Yeah. And like in his episode, he was, if I'm remembering this correctly, he was part of like a Boy Scout troop or something like that got stranded out in the wilderness, and they had to like fend for themselves and fight against protect themselves against like wild animals and things like that. And he was good even then. I mean, he was probably like, I want to say like maybe like 12 or 13. This would have been like, you know, a few years before first X-Men movie. So,
oh wow,
he was making knots in the middle of nowhere in the woods, but the only knot he needed was a tourniquet.
Man, that whole asylum scene and the setting in The Boys, man, that was tense. And then that bald chick who escapes. Oh my God, I was like.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right. So one lingering question that I have, and maybe I've missed it, but Stan Edgar, that character, like the head of Vought, the CEO of Vought, I still want to know, like, why he's not afraid of these heroes. I
was waiting. I think he's a soup. That's just my theory.
I think so too.
Because he always puts Homelander in his fucking place. Like, and he's not afraid of him. Like, he's the only one in Vought, in that building, that's, like, not afraid of him. Right. You know, and that's what I think. I'm going with my gut. My gut tells me that Giancarlo Esposito is a damn soup. And we're just
waiting. That he's either a soup or there's something about him where he is, I don't want to say invulnerable, but maybe he like if you know, maybe like there's something that prevents the heroes from attacking him, or like, you know what I mean, like, so like maybe their powers don't work on him, or, you know, kind of like if you think about like the Weapon X program, like with Wolverine, he couldn't hurt Stryker, like he couldn't use his claws against Stryker. Maybe it's something like that.
You know who he reminds me of? He's like the Amanda Waller of the show.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Right, but I want to know, like, at least with like Suicide Squad, like, you know, the thing that Amanda Waller
she's got the bombs.
The bombs in the back of the head. Like, what is it about him? Because at first I thought that's what it was, like with all that exploding heads and stuff. I thought that was him.
That's what I thought too.
You know, I was like,
and we're gonna get to
that's
that.
Why.
I have a theory. I believe it's because he has the Mandalorian on speed dial.
Whoa.
Maybe.
Dion, what you got, man?
I want him to be obviously, I'm just as big a fan of Giancarlo Esposito as Marq is. I want him to be a soup. Like, and also I want to see, because you ultimately want to see someone just put Homelander in his place. Like, you know, like you want to see him fearful. I want to see him in a little pain, you know. But on the flip side, you know, early on, him and Maeve have that conversation, and he's like, "Why do we listen?" He goes, "They snap their fingers and we jump. Why?" And she just says, "You know, they sign the checks," and he's completely content with that answer. Like, "Oh well, yeah." And I'm like, "Well, if you kill all of them, you can sign the checks, bro." But there's, you know, I think for him, there's something also inherent in the fact that he won't cross the company. Like, no matter what happens, he's just not going to cross the company ultimately.
Yeah.
And so, you know, whether that's just from him growing up and they've just kind of trained him in this way, but I find it interesting. But I would like to find out that ultimately this dude's like, "Oh, you want to test me? Okay, cool." And he flexes on him, like, "Oh, shit."
I just love overall as an actor. I just love how he's just able to command such a presence, like those power actors. You know, he's just the person who's in control, and you never want to screw with him. I just love how he commands that presence on screen, and he's just. I have to agree with you guys like tenfold. He's such a, like, you know, especially when he was in Breaking Bad and everything. Like he's my favorite.
Yeah, he's my favorite actor of all time.
I would love him in like his Office to just have like an homage to him. Like, you see like something hanging up like a Pollos Hermanos shirt or something just randomly in the background. That would be so cool.
Yeah, they got to give a nod to Gus Fring in this show.
Speaking of Gus, so we got one more season of Better Call Saul coming. I am hoping after that's done, first and foremost, we discussed it already on one of our previous streams, that we hope that Giancarlo Esposito walks away with an Emmy this time. But I'm hoping that after Better Call Saul is done, they'll give him more screen time on The Boys, season 3 and season 4.
Right.
If there's,
for sure. Yeah, I hope so.
I hadn't even thought about that. Yes.
Yeah, because we don't see him much is because of Better Call Saul. He was filming both shows pretty much back to back.
Both.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah. I was just happy to get him in the scenes that we got. You know,
yeah,
I mean, it was
especially in the finale. He really had a
one.
presence in the finale for sure.
Right, right. I think that we probably will see a lot more of him in the next one, in the next season. We've got to get some background on Stan Edgar. Like, we've got to know like more about him, whether or not he's a soup, like what is his deal? Like, I mean, the mystery about it in a way kind of fuels your interest in the character, but at some point, like we have to like learn these things, and we have to learn like why is he not afraid of these people?
And how does he get in power? How does he get in power of a company started by a Nazi? Like, how does that happen?
Right.
Like you are here, suddenly, like I'm very like those are the questions I'm asking myself constantly as I'm watching. I'm like, how did this dude get here? Like, oh my God, what's going on? And
yeah, and they're doing it right, and they're setting it up for more, episodes and everything, because I'm sure that's one of the biggest burning questions on all the fans watching the show, and I'm glad that they do. I like when they do that. I don't like when like the first season or so, depending on behind the scenes whether they're capping it at 2 seasons or 3 seasons. I don't like when they reveal too many things too early on. Keep building it up. Keep going on through the seasons. Like, make it last. People will do it. Yeah, we're in the age where you can binge stuff, but that doesn't mean that people don't want things to be held off for a longer period of time.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why they're kind of going. Instead, like, the first season, we got all 8 episodes at once. Season 2, they released 3 and then 1 each week. So what you just said, Matt, I think that's Matt, that's a good point right there. Is that
I'm over here on this screen, so
I know, I just don't know, because I keep forgetting that there's like a
the one everyone else sees.
there's like a my camera's like reflex, so it throws me off.
Yeah. Yep. No, I get that.
Oh.
All right, so there's one more character we need to touch on before we have to. I'm not gonna say too much because I don't want to spoil it for Matt. But there's one character, Victoria, we gotta talk about real quick. Clearly, she's gonna be like the big it here in season 3. At least we assume.
Right.
But guess I can't believe I didn't catch on to it till just recently, and I was listening to other podcasts. Dude, you know what politician they based her on?
Oh yeah, you can see it right off the bat.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I can't
It's
see
AOC. Alexandria. It's
Yeah,
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is who they based her off of. I didn't pick up on that. Oh my God, my mind was blown.
That's why I didn't get that she was the one doing it until they reveal it, because she's set up to be this like great, wonderful, the one person really trying to hold the line against bot. And so like when they reveal, I'm like, oh, it's over. Like, that's it.
I see.
Hey, we gotta. All right. So since we brought her up, and since we're talking about kind of like the exploding heads and all that stuff, I want to bring this part up. The scene in the Senate hearing.
Yeah.
Where everybody's heads exploding and people are just going like absolutely nuts and like freaking out.
Yep.
You guys check that Homelander was not only like very calm about it, but like he had this thing about him where he's like, I have no idea what's going on, but this is pretty cool.
I thought it was him. I really did.
I thought so too at first, but then like the look on his face, and this is some really good acting. Like, props to Anthony Starr for this. Like he showed all this on his face where it was just like this moment of bewilderment, and then it was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And like he wasn't like afraid of it, you know what I mean? Like he didn't think for a second that he would be one of those people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I really like those like little subtle nuances. Like that's a sign of a great actor to me. So, I just wanted to bring that up because I was really impressed with that moment.
Oh yeah. I know nothing about that act.
Oh, Dion, your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go. Okay. You're good.
I'm so sorry.
You're good.
I can hear him.
My bad. I was just gonna say I know nothing about this actor. To my knowledge, this is the first time I've ever seen him.
Yeah.
And like, I'm fascinated. Kind of like what Mark said, like his facial expressions, the demeanor, and in that scene, I did catch that too. Where he's just kind of like, well, whatever. and I was kind of like, oh no. And I love also how that scene was just this is something I got really interested in the last couple of years. Like just the cuts and like, you know, it was frantic and you felt it. Like I was sitting in my chair and I was like, oh my God, what's going on? My head's gonna pop.
Yeah, and I'm like, I felt the same way. I'm like, am I missing something? Like, wait, what the hell's going on?
Oh, it was so great. Like my heart was just like, you know, it got me super excited. And I was just like, oh. When it was over, I was just like, okay, I'm tired. I gotta go to bed.
I need a cigarette.
This is too much for me. I can't be up late like this anymore, you know? So it was great. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, it's just this damn show, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
All right. So
I'm liking what I'm hearing.
I can't wait, Matt. I cannot wait to hear your reaction when you get through season 2. All right. Is there anything left on the boys that we didn't talk about? That anything else?
Man, we can keep going forever if you do that. Go ahead, Dion.
No, I was just gonna say, like, so just kind of going back to this last point, and kind of the point Mark was making. We still don't know if Homelander could be affected in that way. And that to me is like another one of those things where I'm just like, Stormfront seems like the most powerful suit compared to him now.
Yeah,
and then it's obvious, that she can take what he offered. And this is also why I think I know what Jay's thinking about, because my favorite scene of Stormfront, and she's like, hit me with it. And he's like, she's like, pardon my language, but she's like, laser my tits, Don't
be a pussy, laser my tits.
Right, and she goes, oh, it hurts. And he stops. She goes, don't stop. And he's like, well.
He's like, all right.
I mean, you didn't say stop, so.
I'm giggling because there's someone, Scott Bang just brought up in the chat, the dick.
Oh, that, yeah.
Oh my God, the memes that came out the next day about the.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Matt. There's a soup that you're gonna see that's got the power of a giant dick.
Oh my God!
He uses it like a tentacle.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Like he can strangle people with it.
Oh my God!
It's such a weird. Like whoever wrote that, like has probably needs to see it.
Well,
there.
that's an icebreaker for you.
I just imagine a bunch of guys sitting, guys and girls obviously, but just sitting in a room is like, so this person has this power and this person, well, what about this guy? And he's like, well, we can give him this big old, like most random thing ever. But then Mother's Milk reaction, and when he realizes it, he's like, wait.
He's like, that was his fucking dick.
And Frenchie's like, don't be so square.
Right, don't be so close-minded.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh no.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God.
Wow.
Can you imagine how that must have smelled like? That's probably like rank as hell and all.
Oh.
Can you just imagine your sweaty ass nuts and then you're getting choked by it?
All right, new topic.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh no.
All right. Anything else about The Boys season 2?
Alina Jet says very hentai, and I agree. There's a very first, it probably wasn't the first anime that I saw, but one of the very first anime that I saw when I was in junior high school was this movie called Legend of the Overfiend. Have you guys ever seen that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, basically it's about a group of demons that have these giant things.
Dongs.
And they use them very much the same way that this guy did. And that's probably where they got the idea.
Oh, interesting.
Jesus Christ. Mark, what other animes do you know about?
Well, it's a hentai.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
so
okay.
I didn't know what it was at the time. You know what I mean? A friend of mine had it, and we all just loved the little bit of anime that we had seen up to that point.
Paul knows about it too. I'm seeing the chat right now, so we're not the only one.
Yeah.
Now I gotta look it up.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Can I bring up something?
Yeah.
I think it's episode 5, and in this show, with this show that's so amazing. You know, the explosions, everything's so amazing. Something that kind of hit to me when I was kind of rewatching it was episode 5, that opening of the guy who goes to the convenience store, and he's just kind of going through his every day with this kind of constant
it gets the gun
indoctrination. And in this show that, you know, like every episode is like, oh my God, there's so much fun. Like I watched that scene and I was just kind of like, oh, they just hit me. Like they hit me in the feels, you know, like with everything going on right now and the climate we're in.
Yeah.
And I remember after watching it, I went back and watched it again. I was just like, man, for, you know, this show that's doing so great with action and excitement, they just did like a 2-minute segment better than most dramas I'm going to see for the next year. Like it just totally fascinated me. And I was just like, whoa, you know.
Yeah, no, the social commentary is just brilliant in this show.
So
it really
good.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, really well written. That was one of the best openings for an episode that I think I've seen in a long time, too.
Yeah.
I mean, incredibly poignant, timely. Just the way that it was executed. The guy that plays the radicalized, you know, kind of guy, like he's slowly becoming radicalized, and then he like mistakes this guy for being a soup, and it's just, you know, I can't say enough good things about that scene, you know.
Yeah, that one hit me. I was like, oh man, they're good on both ends, you know, like it's so good. After talking about the dong, that just feels weird, but yeah.
yeah, we can't end on that. You did the right thing, Dion. You
My
brought
man.
up something good.
Period.
Appreciate you.
So,
End of.
one other thing, I think last time we talked so much about Black Noir, and then he gets the candy bar, and we don't see him anymore. And like, was he even in the last 3 episodes? Like, what? I can't remember the last episode he was in.
He's in the
The
hospital.
last episode he was in was when he attacked what's her name? Starlight.
Yeah, and then
then
Queen
Maeve comes up behind him and forces an almond joy into his mouth.
Right.
So that was like the second to the last episode, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Because they were in that episode, second to the last episode was when they were actually in the tower and they were trying to get out. So.
Okay. But I need so much more of that character.
Yeah, no, Black Noir does get his due when he's at Billy's mom's house.
Yeah.
Speaking of Billy's mom's house, the FUCK pig.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta say something. I just found that scene really funny. Okay, for those in the chat wondering what I'm talking about, so Billy Butcher's mother's bulldog has like a hump toy, and it's a stuffed pig. And for me, it's really hilarious because God bless my Saint Bernard Lars. He's got a certain pillow that he, you know, humps.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing he'll hump, nothing else. He won't hump a person's leg. He won't hump any like other stuffed animal or any object. Just this one pillow that's in my apartment somewhere. And so for me that was just really funny because, you know, the stuffed pig, and then just like she's like, don't touch that's his girlfriend. Don't touch
Oh man.
I refuse. This is why I don't have animals, because that's not happening in my house. No.
No.
You know. You take
I
that
mean,
outside.
again, credit to my dog. At least my dog's 130 pounds. If he were to hump somebody's leg, he would bring them down, and and I don't think anyone would be able to get him off of him or her. So I'm glad that at least he has the decency to do it to a pillow.
So amazing.
Well, yeah, that was funny. It was just funny, that scene where Black Noir invades the house, because that scene was it was kind of relatable, and I just laughed because I have an animal that happens to do the same thing. But but that's where Black Noir gets his due, was that he's going after Billy, he's kicking his ass, and then finally Giancarlo Esposito comes in and says, "Okay, stop the attack." But yeah, he gets his due in that episode. Hopefully we'll see more of him, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm
Because he's
so
really
fascinated with that
he's the
character.
most shredded in mystery, because the rumor was, in the comics, he was a clone to Homelander, and then we found out that he's not in the series, because lo and behold, you know, we see that it's a black man. So
Well, that's not what I saw. I saw like that his skin had been like damaged or something like that. Yeah. So I've been operating under the premise that maybe he still is a clone of Homelander, and maybe something went wrong with that clone, and that's why he has to be.
But the actor that plays him is black.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Ace Frehley's stunt double in Kiss Meets the Phantom was also black. You know what I mean? So that doesn't really mean anything. You know what I mean? Like they've got the costume on them. So, you know, I guess we'll see in season 3 if they veer off from that or not. But like I've been operating under this premise that like maybe he still is a clone. You know, maybe something happened with the Compound V, or something happened during that cloning process where it like gave him these like defects, one of which is like the almond allergy or whatever, the tree nut allergy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's very interesting. I'll have to catch up on that and then give you my take at some point, like next time I'm on.
Yeah, I need more of him. Like and it's interesting because now when you end this season, we're technically down to 5. Right, it's not even 7 anymore because Stormfront's gone, Black Noir's gone. Well, A-Train gets back.
A-Train gets back in. The Deep does not. The Deep does not get back in, but A-Train does.
And then the Deep, you know, kind of rats out Stormfront, and so it's super interesting, kind of how these dynamics are constantly bouncing. And something I had said in the chat, going back, you know, watching again, I totally had forgotten or didn't realize that Lamplighter was who Starlight replaced. Yes. So he's fresh out the set. That hadn't even occurred to me. So when we see him in the hospital, like he's fresh in that job. Like, oh, I'm okay. This is, you know, what happens to the B team, I suppose. But yeah, so super fascinating.
And not to mention we're back at square one.
Right.
I'm saying like the 7.
Yeah. Speaking of B teams, like I wonder if in the next season we'll see the Deep team up with that Archer dude, since they both are now like suppressive people in that Church of the whatever it is.
Yeah.
I forget what you call it.
The Church of the Collective.
Church of the Collective. Thank you. Like, yeah, maybe they form their own or try to form their own superhero team, kind of like the Outsiders or something like that. That'd be kind of cool to see.
Early on, I felt bad for the Deep because he obviously had this complex, and then like the deeper we get into it, I'm like, it's rightful though. Like you are pretty useless. Like I don't.
Right.
You're pretty useless.
I mean, it's the ongoing joke that Aquaman, you know, Aquaman is always the butt of the jokes in Justice League. Well, obviously before Momoa played the character, but Aquaman was always like the butt of the jokes. Like even like. I don't know if you guys ever watched the Teen Titans Go. Not Teen Titans, the original cartoon, but Teen Titans Go. They always used to do these episodes where Robin and Cyborg and them are trying to get into the Justice League. And of course, like I remember one episode where like Cyborg used to do his like stand-up routine as his talent to get into the Justice League, and he'd always take, you know, jabs at Aquaman. Right, and his powers and stuff. So Aquaman's been the butt of every joke, you know, for ages.
I blame the 70s Super Friends cartoon for that, because like if you read like any of the like Bronze Age and like 80s, like, you know, post Bronze Age, like Aquaman comics, he's actually a pretty formidable character.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like actually has like enhanced strength, you know, superhuman strength outside of the water. Like there's a lot of things that he can do. Like he can control water, like things like that. I mean, they're different iterations.
Yeah.
But the Aquaman that I remember is not the Aquaman from the 70s cartoon where he's like riding a seahorse and he's like just talking to fish, you know. And that seems to be like the running like trope, like as far as like people's understanding of that character, you know what I mean? It's like, oh well, he's not in the water, so you know, all the stuff that's happening, like, you know, with the Justice League is outside of the water, so I guess you're on data entry, you know.
I love what Injustice did with Aquaman in the comics and the games. Like Aquaman is badass in the and this was pre-Momoa. Like they made Aquaman awesome in Injustice.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I still love the Frank Caliendo bit that he does, which was like years and years ago, where it was just like talking about Aquaman. It's like, you know, the announcer's like, meanwhile, back in the Hall of Justice, Aquaman prepares a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because he can't do shit.
Right. Yeah, that character gets such a raw deal.
Man. This poor Aquaman. Man, if only we could get Jason Momoa on this show.
Now that is Aquaman. I love Jason Momoa. He did such a great job, and I loved watching the Aquaman movie. He was so good.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So, we're still on the superhero thing. I want to transition to something. So, there is rumors going around, swirling the internet right now that all this news is breaking out about Spider-Man 3. And ever since Into the Spider-Verse, which was great.
Right.
Matt Farden, have you seen the Into the Spider-Verse?
Oh, of course.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, because you're the voice actor guy, I was going to say, I really, really hope so.
Of course.
But now we're hearing rumblings that the Spider-Man 3 movie is going to be Spider-Verse. We're going to have Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, and Andrew Garfield in this movie. And now I'm also hearing that, obviously, we heard Jamie Foxx is going to be in it as Electro. And we're also hearing that, I read this yesterday, that Kirsten Dunst is going to be back as MJ. And I can't think of who's the one that played, not Willem Dafoe, but in Amazing Spider-Man, the guy that played Green Goblin in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Dane DeHaan.
Yeah, he's going to be back as the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
So they're like bringing all the villains and characters from all three of the Spider-Man universes that we know.
Right.
That sounds really, really ambitious. Mark, what do you got on that?
It also sounds really false, if I'm being really honest with you. So I think that, all right, so all this sparked from a story that was released in the Hollywood Reporter that said that Jamie Foxx was coming back, was going to appear in Spider-Man 3. It didn't say anything about him being Electro. It just said that he's in talks to be in Spider-Man 3. People kind of ran with this. And then when he was asked about it, he didn't say yes or no. He just said, well, let's just say that I won't be blue this time. So there's an excellent chance that he's not even playing Electro. So based off of, I mean, you know, what has sort of happened with this rumor is that, you know, we saw in the Morbius trailer, we saw Michael Keaton for like a split second, and he's wearing like the prison clothes that he was wearing as Vulture at the end of Not Far From Home, Homecoming, right? So people were like, oh, he's got to be playing Vulture in this. You know what I mean? And then we hear about Jamie Foxx, right? And then we start like, you know, putting those things together. Oh, maybe Jamie Foxx is going to reprise his role. Maybe these two universes are going to come together. And then somewhere, like I think like We Got This Covered or like Cosmic Book News or one of those. First of all, don't trust those sites. Those sites are like the National Enquirer for movie news. Yeah. Like Jake can tell you. Like if it doesn't come from like the Hollywood Reporter or Variety or Screen Rant or something like that that's a little bit more reputable, I wouldn't trust any of that news. It's not to say that it wouldn't happen, that you know, because they are doing this sort of Marvel, like this MCU multiverse. So it's possible they could be doing something like that, but I personally don't believe it. I don't think that it's real.
Well, so that's wow.
Sorry.
I feel like Mark just laid the hammer down.
I'm in the neutral seat. I'm just listening.
Well, here's the thing though, but you're gonna bring in Doctor Strange, and we already know about this whole multiverse thing. Sure. So that's why I'm just kind of like wondering. All right, well, is there some validity to this because of, you know, we know for a fact that Doctor Strange is going to be the new mentor to Peter Parker in this MCU.
Yeah, I'm not too pleased about that. But like, all right, so So another thing about that, and then I'll shut up about it, is that, I mean, the other side of that coin that makes me believe that it is possible is that Grace Randolph has kind of been like kind of perpetuating these rumors. Mm-hmm. And, you know, she's kind of like John Campea, where she actually knows people at Sony. And like she actually has like the inside scoop on certain things. She's called some things out and been right about it. And so what she has said is that both Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are supposed supposed to be in talks, but nothing's been signed yet. Like they're just like early in talks. So that's the information that she's getting, and that's what she's been reporting. So the fact that she actually knows people at Sony that are telling her this kind of makes me believe that, like, yeah, there might actually be something to that.
All right. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm getting my hopes up a little bit because I just think, you know, I kind of want to see this multiverse, even if it's just done for one movie, you know, because, listen, I was a huge fan of...
Just like one and done.
Well, I was a huge fan of Spider-Man, the animated series from the 90s. And I'll never forget when they brought in Madam Web, and one of my favorite episodes ever is when, like, there were 6 different Spider-Man from 6 different dimensions, the millionaire, the robotic, the mutant Spider-Man with 6 arms, like,
Right.
That was like one of my favorite episodes ever, and I'm like, oh my god, if we can kind of see some kind of resemblance of that, and yes, we need a Madam Web, please.
Yeah, right. And supposedly Olivia Wilde is, and that's a rumor too. We know that she's doing something for Sony that's sort of spider related. We know that it's going to be a female-centric character, so it's either going to be one of 3 characters that we know of so far. So it's either going to be Madam Web, it's going to be Silk, or it's going to be Ghost Spider. Like Gwen, it'll be like the Gwen Stacy Spider character.
Oh, okay.
So, but you know, everybody who's been speculating on it so far, at least people that have been somewhat close to the project or close to Sony, have sort of like pushed the idea that it's most likely going to be a Madam Web thing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
We'll see what happens.
So, Mark, if we can go back to something you said, though, on the say, so why don't you like, I'm intrigued by this, because you said you didn't like the Doctor Strange.
Right, so...
We talked about this. Go ahead. I'll let you go.
Oh, I'm
Right,
sorry.
so-
If
No,
you
no,
already
no.
talked about it-
No. Like
No.
off
We talked
screen.
about it off camera.
Off
Like,
camera.
we haven't discussed this.
Yeah.
So yeah, like anybody that like, you know, knows me really well, like Dion, you know me really well. Like, you know that I'm like a Spider-Man fanatic. I did, like, off camera, I showed you this like big Spider-Man thing that I plan on hanging up soon, and I have like a little spider guy right here, a little spider guy right here. So Spider-Man is like my favorite of all the superheroes, right?
If I didn't know any better, Mark, I'd say you like Batman.
Yeah. so that
Spider-Man's
said,
great.
one of the reasons why why I've always been so drawn to him is just the nature of that character. Like, he's a prodigy. He's like completely, you know, at least in the comics, like very like ingenuous. Like he knows how to like build things on the fly. He understands science. He understands chemistry. Like he's a proper hero in his own right at a very young age, right? But the way that the MCU has sort of interpreted that character is that he's just your average 15-year-old who happened to get bit by a spider, and they don't even explain like how he got his powers. Like in Civil War, he never says like, oh, well, when I got bit by that spider, like when he's talking to Tony Stark. Oh, when the spider bit, he says, when whatever happened to me happened. So he doesn't even know like how he got those powers, right? And then in his solo movie, he's basically Iron Man Jr. He's like Iron Man's sidekick throughout that. You know, in the sequel, you still get Tony Stark even after he's dead, right? And then now in Spider-Man 3, he has to have another mentor. Like, at what point is he going to stand on his own 2 feet and just be his own hero? Like, I really think that they're really doing the character a disservice by doing that. You're not really allowing him to grow. You're not, you know, I mean, eventually he's supposed to become like a leader, and how's he going to do that if everybody's always like kind of like following behind him and like telling him what to do and how to do it? That's my only real gripe with it.
Right.
That makes sense. All right.
Yeah, very legit.
Absolutely. Interesting. Well, here's how old is he? Like in Civil War, how old?
Comics, he's older, right? But in Civil War, the movie, I think he's 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they say he's 15 in that.
Oh, so he's okay. So he's super young. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. He's like a freshman in high school, so he may be like 15 or 16.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And I mean, that's what the overall basis of it is anyways. Like Spider-Man's based, a high school kid that, is learning all this stuff, especially from like the original comics and everything.
Right. And it's worth noting in the comics too that he's like that age for a very small part of the publication history, right? So he's only
I see.
Aside from like the reboots and like the Ultimate Series and all that,
Yeah.
but like if you're looking at the main canon of Spider-Man, he's like in high school for like a very, very small period of time.
We grew up with him. He goes from high school to college to adulthood.
And then he ends up getting a job with like J. Jonah Jameson.
Yep.
And he ends up going to college and does all that stuff. And we never in most of these, I mean, in the original, in the Raimi series, this is why I like that version a lot, is because they did that timeline kind of correctly. Whereas the other iterations, they never really did that. You know what I mean? They kind of just kept him at this one age. I just wish they would do more to kind of allow that character to grow up. I mean, Tom Holland is 24 years old in real life.
Something like that, yeah.
Let the character be in his, let the character at least be 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I actually have a question for the Spider-Man, the Spider-Man man there. So the video game, the newest Spider-Man game that came out, that one, he is Octavius's assistant. Now, is that canon to the comics? Because I didn't know if that. Okay. I just wanted to double check. I didn't know if that was just like a rendition that Sony decided to do. Like, oh, what if he was his assistant and then blah blah. Which I think different.
They're different. They're different like iterations in the comics. Like this has been retconned a couple times. So like in the original comic, like he didn't work for Doc Ock. Like he went to see a demonstration, like he had heard of him, like he was like a famous scientist, and Peter Parker heard of him and went to a demonstration, and that's where he got bit by the spider.
Right, especially with the Tobey Maguire Superman. Superman, Super Spider-Man.
Right, but in more previous retcons, like he actually, Octavius is his professor. And he actually like works closely with him and does works in a lab with him and all of that stuff. So I like both iterations actually. I like, I think that in both cases it works well. In the film, in the Amazing Spider-Man film, I think it was who's the lizard? Dr. Connors.
Connors, yeah.
Right. So I mean, I think any of those works.
Well, all I have to say is get me pictures of Spider-Man.
So I gotta say that this is the peril of the NerdCage Live, right? I listen to you guys so much, and like I heard you guys talk about the Spider-Man game, and like I went and bought it like the next day. I spent way too much time playing it. I've spent my like pocket change buying movies on YouTube because you do your talk backs and your look backs, and I'm like, oh, I gotta watch that movie, and it's not streaming, and all my money is going out the window. So thank you, and I hate you in exact same.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Dude, over the last 3 months, you guys have cost me like close to $100. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you right now, I love you and I hate you at the same time.
You put me onto my new favorite podcast now, Motive, which that isn't costing me anything except for the Spotify subscription. But aside from that, I mean, that is like an unbelievable, like this dude, TJ Jimenez, like what happened?
Yeah.
Like I haven't listened to the whole thing yet. I'm like on the 6th episode, but it is just riveting.
So just not to get far away, I met Christian Picciolini a couple months ago for the first time
Really?
ever. Oh yeah, absolutely. His record store was right across the street from my house. So I didn't know of him as a kid. I didn't know who he was. I'd heard of the guy, the other gentleman they mentioned, but I didn't know anything about him. And now knowing, I've got the chance to meet him at an event right before the pandemic started. And I was like, oh, this is the dude. Okay. And he was extremely pleasant. It was, extremely pleasant, great exchange. But yeah, good show.
Yeah, you don't think about it, especially when they're living in Chicago or like different areas where it's not Tinseltown. You know what I mean? Like here, everyone's looking around, everyone's like looking in dumpsters and like under rocks and stuff, and like, oh look, there's Brad Pitt, or oh, you know, like that. But you just don't, you never think of that, especially like in Chicago or like in Indiana or something like that.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
All right.
Right. And
Sydney-
didn't you tell me at one point that like N.K. Jemisin like lives close to you? Was it you that said that, Dion? N.K. Jemisin, that the writer that does Far Sector, does a Green Lantern comic book?
No, Eve Ewing teaches right up the
Oh,
street.
Eve Ewing.
Yeah, teaches right up the street
okay.
from me.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know a bunch of people who know her, like on a personal level. I've never seen her, and I'm just like, I want to meet her so bad.
Yeah.
If anybody can arrange that, please help me out.
I don't want to change the topics too much, but Syracuse just got a huge neighbor. Matt, you already know about this. So Jason Newsted is moving to Syracuse.
What?
Yep. He just bought a $6 million mansion in Skinny Atlas Lake. For those who don't know anything, for those who are outside New York, okay, so Skinny Atlas is a very rich town just outside of Syracuse. Derek Jeter was living, if you're a Yankees fan, Derek Jeter was living there for a while, but now Jason Newsted has just bought a $6 million mansion in Skinny Atlas Lake, and he's moving to the area. I hope I meet him. I really do.
Hey, don't take this the wrong way, but why is he doing that? Like, is there is there a project that he's working on, or is it just that he's just like, well, this is a really nice.
We gotta
town.
say, Skinny Atlas is a beautiful town.
Yeah.
And they're really famous for.
It's basically like Beverly Hills here.
And they're famous for their wineries. So Matt, your boy there, Getty Lee comes to the Finger Lakes for wine all the time.
Yep.
So
Okay, that is cool.
So yeah, I mean, no. We everybody on Facebook was saying the same thing. Well, why the hell would Newsted want to come to New York? New York State's a mess. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
But again, like I said, if you've been to Skinny
Is he
Atlas,
still doing Echo Brain?
no. He had a
I haven't
project
keeping up,
called
unfortunately.
Newsted. He had a band called Newsted. They did one album and an EP, and then he called it quits.
Oh, that's right, because it sounded like he was kind of going in like towards like a Motorhead sort of vibe, I think.
Yeah.
In that group.
I don't know if he's doing anything musically, but remember, he's living off of the royalties from the Black Album and all the touring that he did.
Yeah, he still gets that, exactly. All the
And
legal
I
stuff,
don't know,
he's
like I
still,
said,
yeah.
musically, I think he still does like acoustic shows from time to time. So I'm hoping when this whole Rona thing is over that he'll do like some acoustic shows in Syracuse or something. It's just cool that Syracuse got an awesome freaking neighbor.
Yeah, that is cool. That's good news. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm sure he's a nice guy, and you know he stays out of the limelight as much as possible, and so I'm sure he's a pretty humble dude.
I've heard good things about him. I've never met him, but I know lots of people that have, and they all say
Yeah,
that
he's not afraid to meet the fans and be in the meet and greets and stuff like the other guys at Metallica. I'll leave it at that.
Right.
I'm not trying to put no
Yeah.
one down, but
Yeah.
they
no,
come.
for sure.
Jason Newsted's a whole other animal from Lars and James. I'll leave it at that.
Sure.
Yes. I as much as I know and as much as I try to learn, I cannot fathom spending $6 million on anything. That's all I want to say.
Well, I mean, if you had $600 million,
He's worth $70 million. Someone said on Facebook that he's worth like $70 million. So,
It's plenty.
and now keep in mind, I believe he's.
I'm even like that. Yeah, I'm like that too. I literally look at that and like my friends out here are just like, so what are you gonna do? Like if something happens, like your voice career blows up or something happens and you're directing a project or you're doing stuff like that. I'm like, I'm just gonna have a modest condo here and maybe just have. I would really like to own property in Europe or something like that, but just like a decent sized house. Like, what about the mansion, man? I'm just like, what do you do? Get a seven bedroom house and then you poop in 5 of the bathrooms and then cry? What do you do? What do you do? There's too many rooms.
Yeah,
I mean, if I was a millionaire, I'd probably still own an apartment. Just saying.
not for nothing, but I feel like a modest condo in Los Angeles probably would cost about $6 million. Am I right?
The average home price right now, of course, California is unfortunately one of the worst places to live for property taxes and everything. So I think the median household, which is kind of like when I was in Vancouver too, like even like a small, like beat up ranch house or something like that, depending on where the property is in Los Angeles. That property goes probably between 500 to 800,000 for that. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. There are houses out here because I live in one of the suburbs outside of Los Angeles, and the neighborhoods, literally all the houses, they barely have property and they're all squished together, but all the houses are between like 1.3 to like 1.8 million, and they're just like 3-bedroom houses and stuff.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Whatever.
Right?
Whatever.
Don't even get me started on the rent. It's but I think there's going to be, like I said, I won't get too much in the politics and stuff, but like the housing bubble, it's got to break at some point, and people are leaving the state, so they're going to have to incentivize bringing people back in. So they're going to have to lower the rent because it's just getting too out of hand, even out here in the suburbs.
I bet.
All right. Wow. It's getting close to 9:30. Okay, listen. One more thing I want to just bring up real quick before we wrap it up. Now, of course, Dion and Matt, I'm going to give you guys your plug-in. But there is a movies are really, the streaming wars is picking up, especially with COVID and everything else, and movie theaters or movies are pulling out of movie theaters. We got another big movie coming to streaming in December. Coming to America 2. Which was planned for a theatrical release. It's going straight to Amazon Prime in December. I know everybody in here is a huge Eddie Murphy fan, so I just want to hear you guys' take on that.
Who's going first? Dion. Let's hear it.
It's gonna be hilarious. I mean, come on now. Especially Eddie's coming off of this, this award for being on Saturday Night Live. He still has it. He's still got the charm. He's still got the chops. I mean, come on. I'm excited. I will never get what we really want, because I want him. I want Arsenio. I want half the people that aren't even alive anymore. I want all the same characters, And so, but I mean, it's gonna be great. I know we had talked about it being purchased by Amazon, which I think is, a genius move on their part, because it's gonna make money. People are going to want to see it. And it's unfortunate that we can't go and see it in the theater, but it's got, it's just the name recognition alone. It's going to go ahead and make tons of money. And so, yeah, I'm super excited. I'm going to watch it. I'll watch it opening night.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do a review on the show for sure.
Yeah, we will.
Matthew, your take on it, because I know you worked with Eddie Murphy briefly.
I mean, so basically the situation with that was when I was doing background, I was in the theater scene in the Dolomite that came out for Netflix. My Name is Dolomite. And I was in the theater where they're watching it, and he's with his crew, and they're just like watching it, like going, they're looking around, and all the white people are like, oh, that was funny, and they're like, what the hell? They're fantastic. Craig Robinson is a fantastic, beautiful human being. He was like, what I respected about Eddie didn't really talk to people on set, because that's the whole thing. I know a lot of people say, oh, you get on set, background, you sign up, you just get in, you can see all these people. A lot of people also, I'm sure they understand, but you have to realize every actor has a different process. Eddie had a lot on his mind, especially being the producer and everything. So when he walks on the set, he keeps to himself because he's practicing his lines and he's into it. And I really respected I respected his, intensity with working and making sure to get it right and to do so. And that's how you can tell why he's still working and why he's like one of the best out there. But the rest of them are good too. Craig he was hilarious. He walked on set and he looked over at all the background. He's just like, who's ready to make a movie? Woo! And we were just like, yeah. So
awesome.
But yeah, no, I'm excited. I am excited. I thought the first movie was phenomenal, and I think this is going to be one, you can't, put the cart before the horse, but I think it's going to be a good sequel. I think it's going to be very entertaining.
And Marq.
Well, I'm here for it, man. I'm one of the biggest Eddie Murphy fans. We've talked about that on our podcast and stuff, and I've been waiting for this since it's been announced. I think that Amazon is really banking on Eddie's comeback, like now that he's sort of back on a roll. I think that they're really looking to sort of cash in on that, expecting, high streams in high volumes and stuff like that. The big question to me is like from the studio's side, because they sold that film to Amazon for $150 million when, potentially it could have, for all we know, it might have cost more than that to even make. And so, I'm kind of wondering, like, behind the scenes, like, what were the factors that made them decide to go ahead and sell it off, as opposed to let's hold on to this property and like maybe just do a PVOD or an SVOD event. Like I'm kind of I kind of want to dig a little bit deeper to find that out. But that said, I really am excited that it is going to be on Amazon, and we'll just be able to just stay at home and just kind of rent it, as opposed to like trying to figure out what theater is going to be open when, and is it safe to go, and that kind of things.
And it's funny is that we're getting Borat 2 in November, and then right after that we're getting Coming to America 2. So it's just like. So we're getting two really huge potential comedy blockbusters back to back on Amazon Prime. Like, exciting times. It really is.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask a question. Do you think that part of them selling it is that the big studios are just having trouble in releasing movies direct to video well? Because it's funny, like the only time I ever like see movies, I'm like, oh, this movie's out, and you can rent it at your house, whatever. It's through AMC. I don't ever see it through like a studio. And and I'm wondering if they're like, let's say guaranteed money.
Well, I think that, I mean, obviously everybody gets a cut, and there's a reason why they want to do it. Definitely, COVID is definitely affecting everything quicker. I'm sure, because when I was talking to people too, especially for voiceover right now, they're 80% of the stuff, like studios are finally reopening, but 80% of the work now is remote. So people have to have, like right behind me, this is my booth. So a lot of people, it's like, you use the program called Source Connect. So where you can literally connect to the client, like to the studio where they're at. So it's like basically what was happening was they were going to, I think for the most part, especially money wise too, they were going to transition into just doing everything remotely anyways, and also maybe going to streaming. But because of the pandemic and because of COVID, now probably about 10 years worth of like transitioning progress has now been shortened to about 6 to 12 months. Especially because of all the money that they're losing. They're moving. I mean, Disney's lost well over $500 million or something
Easily.
like that.
Easily.
With everything.
Every time they push back a feature. Oh, am I?
You're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
I was like.
I was reacting to Dion. He was just like, oh my God.
No, right. That's too much money. I can't imagine.
That's a lot of money.
It is. I mean, every time that a film gets announced, where they announce the release date, and then they have to move it, that costs the studio a lot of money, because they've poured millions of dollars into marketing campaign, right? Doing print ads, doing commercials, doing, banners on the internet and YouTube and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then they have to do a whole new campaign for a new date. And then they do it again, and then they do it again. Not to mention that, when we hear about like the production costs of a film, that's not coming directly out of the pocket of the studio. Some of that is financed, and it's financed at interest. So the longer that a film is delayed in its release, the
interest
more
builds.
It costs.
Yeah.
Right. So these studios are really, really going through it, and so it's easy for us to say like, well, why don't you just put it on streaming, right? Like, so the thing about that is that what's the right price point to where the studio can profit, and
just look what happened with Mulan.
And right. And
misfire.
How does that work? You know what I mean? Like even if they had done it as a standard VOD release, if you did that at $30 a pop, it still wouldn't be enough to cover the 150 million that it took to make it. So
it's all the machine.
And the thing is that they were banking on that movie to finance a bunch of other movies. You know, they had a huge windfall with like Infinity War and Endgame. We're talking about Disney. Infinity War and Endgame, like they made so much money that allowed them to pay for the next round of movies for the next year.
Yeah.
And now they don't have that for the coming year because they've lost all this money, and everything that they've released has lost money. They haven't even broken even on these VOD releases. There's only a handful of movies that have actually.
That's why I don't believe Too Big to Fail. It only takes squeezing a company. You know, it's just like what they say. It's like the old saying. You know, the bigger it is, the harder it falls. And what we've seen between 6 to now going on probably close to 12 a year now, if you squeeze companies as much, like with shutdowns and stuff like that, you're going to literally just see a domino effect. I mean, you know, like I said, I'm not going to get too political, but it's really sad to hear that like over 1 million small businesses across the country have now not just like closed temporarily, but like are gone. Like 30, for good because of all this stuff.
Yeah, I just hope this doesn't happen to movie theaters, you know?
Yeah, and I think that is going to happen to movie theaters. I think AMC is, you know, in particular, I think they reported maybe a week or so ago that they have just enough money to stay afloat through Q1 of next year. And then they're done forever unless something turns around.
Companies that have been huge for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and then all of a sudden, I mean, even Lord & Taylor, New York City, one of the oldest department stores in the country, gone, done. Even it couldn't even help the oldest retail store.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, it's so like just listening to you guys. Like you guys are such a wealth of information. That's why I appreciate listening to you guys and talking with you.
Absolutely.
It just
likewise.
It just amazes me that like. I just can't even fathom it. Like I was reading an article that Broadway is shut down, you know, and I have a friend who works for a huge corporation here in Chicago, and they sent them an email today saying that they were going to be at home until June of next year. And she's like, oh, you know, and I'm like, that they're already like, you know, she's like, yep, you know, that's it. We're home till then. And, you know, I'm like, if this is still going on in June of next year, what will be left? You know, and it's so sad. It just, you know, like I'm sitting here and I'm listening, but I'm just like,
it's pretty bleak, man. I mean, it's like, you know, we've talked about the studios and we've talked about the theaters, but we haven't talked about like the all of the tangential like companies that are tied to those. Like what about the companies that make popcorn and other concessions? You know, what about cleaning services? What about you know the companies that do surround sound like DTS and Dolby and stuff like that? Like what happens if all these theaters remain closed? You know, what happens if the studios, if there's not enough studios out churning out content so that the theaters have something to play, you know? So, I mean, it's just, we've never seen anything like this before. So,
Marq, this is the first big time. This is the first big time that we're seeing hundreds of millions of people out of jobs, and they literally did nothing. It's literally the government saying we have to shut down, we have to stop the curve, we have to flatten the curve, and then now it's this month, and then 6 to 8 months later, and people are like, bread lines are forming, like stuff, especially that we haven't seen since 1929 in this country per se. But I won't get too off topic, but I was reading some. I don't fully quote me, but I think I saw some EU economics, like European Union economists, and they were talking about. They said if this continues and all of the major countries keep shut down for years, they said they're going to across the world. I think they said there's going to be 200 million people that are going to be in poverty. that weren't in poverty. Like all of this, all of that we've accomplished, because regardless, every situation is different. Yes, this country, there are more people, like there are people in poverty, but there are people in countries where that would be considered like almost rich to those people. But now we've been seeing, everything's a system. As one level goes up, the next level follows behind it. But now we're literally seeing hundreds of millions of people across the world. Like, I'm just really lucky that I can still keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm sure you guys do as well, that we're still doing this stuff. But I've already heard there are 300,000 families in California that they're about to be evicted. Right. Like once the eviction laws push forward or whatever's going to happen, there are 300,000 people in standby right now for just literally they were working full time, making minimum wage or making median incomes, and now all of a sudden they're going to be gone. Their houses are going to be gone. Yeah. So it's crazy, crazy times.
Jay, you were getting ready to say something before I cut
you
off.
I wanted you to add to the thing. No, the one thing we're talking about back to the movie theater thing is I did go out of state to see a couple movies this fall. And like I said, I felt Regal, it was a Regal theater. I thought Regal did a good job keeping the theater safe and sanitized. And Mark, one of the things that you and I talked about on Facebook privately is you mentioned the lack of marketing to tell the general public, hey, this is what we're doing to keep the theater safe and whatnot. So if you want to touch base on that.
So one of the things that I kind of read about not long ago is that when theaters in other countries have opened, say in parts of Europe, in parts of Asia and stuff like that, there's been a concerted effort with the government and the theater owners to sort of have a campaign to let people know, hey, this is what we're doing. This is why it's safe, and they have commercials and ads and all kinds of stuff that, allow people to see firsthand, on TV or whatever, hey, it's a safe environment. Come on in, come back to the theaters. And we don't have that. We never got that. It was just okay, it's okay for theaters to open. I know here in Kentucky, nobody's going to the movies because everybody's worried about it.
Dion.
Mark,
sorry, my phone.
No, if I could say, it would be great if the two of you could make a little PSA kind of highlighting that, because and this goes to this, and I saw a news article, and the minute I saw it, I went online, and 20 minutes later I did it. And I mentioned this to you guys before we went on air. I rented out an AMC theater yesterday. It cost me $100. And nice. I can have up to 20 people. It's the entire theater just to us. And you get to choose the movie. So I chose Monsters, Inc., and I chose The Day Before the Election, and so 7:30. And whether I'm sitting there by myself or whether I bring 20 people, to me, it was one of those things. One, I'm oh my God, I get to tell people I rented out a movie theater like I'm a baller. But the reality is,
I've never done that before, so.
Right. I'm but if I can support. You know what I'm saying? AMC is a huge corporation, but they are seriously in danger of folding. And so anything I can do, because I chose a theater that my favorite theater I always go to. And I'm hoping that some of the independent theaters do the same thing. I'm very fortunate that I still have a job. I still got a paycheck. And I would totally give $100 a month to every theater that I can think of, to go watch a movie with a group of friends and just, try to keep the doors open and support them. So I would encourage other people to do the same thing. But going along with this idea, I've asked a couple people, would you like to come? And everyone's are they cleaning the places? What's that like? And I'm AMC has this huge website just about how they sanitize in their places. So if you guys did a quick PSA on that topic, I would send it to everybody I know for sure, because it's a topic that people need to hear about.
Yeah, and I would spread the news as well too if you guys did that.
Yeah,
well, let's all spread the news. Yeah. I mean, we need to save these theaters for sure.
We do.
as much as I love to stream movies and TV shows and something, there's something about the theatrical experience that you can't replace.
Exactly.
I'm really worried that it's gonna eventually be gone. It's
regardless of how big it is, how big of a company is. Yes, and there are complaints about bigger companies. And, there's pros and cons to everything. But at the end of the day, we just have to remember that behind the one person of the corporation, there are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people working for these. They have jobs. So if AMC comes out like Regal's done, if AMC now says they're done, that's another like 30 to 50,000 people out of work. And that's, just like with the Disney layoffs at Disney World and across the, and across like the I think it was like, 30,000 layoffs or
35,000 layoffs.
Yeah. Now those people who have been, cast members at the parks for 10, 15, 20, 35 years, now they're getting, this letter or confirmation in the mail saying that now their job's gone. It's crazy times. I hope that, especially in a time where we are separating ourselves so we don't infect others. I think the biggest thing, though, that is keeping the majority of people sane is stuff like this. Like, because of YouTube and because of what the technology and everything right now, we're talking to each other thousands, if not 3,000 miles away from each other, and we're keeping this. So, you know what? I think the internet, good things and bad, it's helping people, and I think more people are staying sane because we can still be connected like this during these times. So
yeah, well said.
Absolutely.
I feel like we've been ignoring the chat. Do we have any questions?
Yeah.
Like we went on a tangent.
We're not ignoring you. We love you.
But super important. Good topics. Great topics.
Very, very
sure.
No, I've been watching the chat. They've been popping the whole time. So at least everybody's entertained by us and entertained among themselves. And dude, we've had 15, 16, 17 people the whole time. And so we're glad we're able to keep an audience.
Awesome.
Yeah,
guys, thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, this has been our longest stream ever. I mean, I knew that I had a feeling this was going to happen. So, okay, I guess before we wrap this up, we definitely owe it to our fabulous guests here. Everybody, one last time, just give it up for these guys. We're going to do another, give it up for all these gentlemen on the screen here. Dion, we appreciate, by the way, Dion, everything you said about our podcast and our show, I feel the same way about yours. Your podcast is amazing. I love listening to it. You just did one on the Breonna Taylor thing, and it was just so powerful. I loved it. It was definitely a strong episode.
Great job. Yeah,
yes.
Great job on that one, for real. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I listened to it probably 3 times. And, anybody who isn't familiar with Dion's show, I mean, it's fantastic. It's off the beaten podcast. He basically just breaks down all the beauty of Chicago, all the arcane secrets of living there, and what's great about the city, and what's important to know, as a Chicagoan. And I really have a ton of respect for you for doing that particular episode, because in that you said everything that we're all thinking, and you brought out a ton of facts that I think a lot of people don't know, and I think that was really important for you to do. So big shout out for you there.
Yeah. So Dion, tell everybody about where they can find you, where they can listen to you, and your Facebook and Twitter and all that. And by the way, the links are in the description.
Yeah, absolutely. So this Off the Beaten podcast, the best description I've heard of it so far, was a young lady said it was a love letter to the city. And so it's centered around Chicago, the people, the city as a whole, the issues that affected. I'm still I feel like when I'm here with you guys, I've arrived. But I feel like I'm still finding my way on my podcast. I literally have a list of 75 to probably 95 people that I want on there. And I'm finding my stride now during COVID, because I feel like I lost a lot of stuff in there. But yeah, you can check it out. It's if you go to offthebeatenpodcast.com, I have a brand new website. You can check it out. Check out some of the episodes.
Fancy.
I know, and so yeah, and thank you guys so much. I don't know if I told you, I said it to Mark, that one episode, I spent over 2 weeks working on it. I recorded it 4 times, and I still don't think I got it where I wanted it, but it's like as I say about my podcast all the time, it's honest and it's pithy, and so that's what I'm just trying to do. So definitely check it out. And one thing I definitely need, people just let me know what you think. Criticism is totally okay. It's very far from perfect. So anything I can use to kind of make it better, to build, I'm looking for. I won't get angry. You know, I think my friends are like, if I say something bad, it's gonna like snap my head off. I'm like, no. So, but
well,
yeah.
that's the best way to approach it. That's the greatest way to approach it.
Yes, and I appreciate you guys so much. And it's always a pleasure to be here with you guys. Seriously, this is all I like. I look forward to this all day. I look forward to this all week. And I appreciate you guys so much.
You guys are the third and fourth members of NerdCage Live, as far as I'm concerned. So you guys have done a lot for us. You both have filled in for Marq when I needed you guys the most.
Oh,
and Matt, your voices are always great to work with. And like I said, Dion, you're such great company. And like I said, we're fans of your podcast and whatnot. And I'm really glad that thanks to Marq, I made a friend through you, and it's been an absolute pleasure working with both of you gentlemen. So it's, we're really glad you guys took the time off your busy schedule to be here with us, hanging out, letting your nuts hang out, talking about nerd topics and whatever. It's damn good times, And everyone in the chat, you guys are the foundation of NerdCage Live. Dion, you brought people over here. Matt, you brought people over here. Monstrosity's brought people. Marq, your friends, my friends. Like, you guys are a great foundation. We're going to work hard every day to make this show better. And that being said, Matthew, I want to give you the spotlight now to promote what you have going on and whatnot.
All right, yeah. Just like from the other episodes, you can find my current demos and information at MatthewFarden.com.
Link in the description.
Link in the description. Shout out to my brother because he actually updated it because I wanted to wait for the right time to do this. Of course, I'm still working on signing some papers here and there. I can't talk about too much stuff, but I did get one. I'm probably going to be – I got one of my auditions already soon, so I think I can officially say that I am 100% signed with an agent in town. And so I am – so when you check the website in the next week or so, I will be updating in the contact information, but I will be officially represented by Aperture Talent in Beverly Hills.
Congratulations. I always knew you had it in you, man. I've known since from the day I met you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just, it came finally at the right time. The stars aligned, everything worked, and I'm just, that's the first major hurdle. I still have a lot of work to do, but you know what? I'm ready to do it. I've been ready, and I just, we'll see what happens. Hopefully I have some great news for you guys down the road. So, yeah.
Excellent. All right, so I will do my quick plug in here. Again, thank you to both of you guys. Thank you to everybody in the chat. We have a very special guest here in 2 weeks. We have Zach Householder of Whitechapel coming on the show October 29th. And two weeks from tonight. We cannot wait to have him on here. Next week's probably going to be like a chill stream. But this weekend, I'm very happy. I know Mark's been aching for this. But we are going to be doing another look back. The 40th anniversary of Superman 2. Is this year.
Nice.
And we have to talk about Superman 2 because it's one of Mark's favorite movies. It's one of the most important sequels of all time. And there's two versions of this movie, the lesser cut and the Donner cut, and we're going to talk about both. I could very well see this being a 2, maybe 3-parter podcast that we're going to record this weekend. We're really looking forward to digging deep into Superman 2. And let me tell you something. Marq is a human Superman encyclopedia, and I cannot wait to hear his take on this movie. I'm so excited.
Man. There's so much going back. Like I was saying, on our podcast last week, like not only is there a lot of story, a lot of history with the production, but there's history with the character. And we're going to talk a lot about Christopher Reeve, the actor, and how they found him, how they cast him, why he was the perfect Superman at the time, and what he did after. And, there's just so much to just kind of break open and explore. And I've been waiting for this for a while. So yeah, I'm super hyped for it.
Absolutely. So yeah, keep your ears peeled. We will, like I said, we plan on recording this weekend. We don't know when it will be. It will be out sometime next week for sure. We just don't know when, but we are going to record it this Sunday. And I'm gonna watch the Donner cut for the first time Saturday. I've never seen the Donner cut. I've only seen the Lester version, the one that everybody knows. But the Donner cut I've never seen, so I really can't wait So, we're going to have a really fun perspective on this movie. Again, Essence of NerdCage Live, a superhero movie. And again, this is personally, among the Christopher Reeve movies, this one's my favorite. So I really, really can't wait to get into it.
Yeah.
Where do you find that cut at? I want to see it.
Amazon. You can rent it on Amazon Prime, but you can buy it on Blu-ray and on 4K. It's out there. It's called Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut. It was released in 2006, right before Superman Returns came out.
Yeah.
And this was like the original version of the movie that Richard Donner wanted, that he never got because he was fired midway into the movie. So, production of the movie, I should say. So, really, really can't wait to get into, like I said, I've never seen this version either. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to talk about. We'll discuss all the differences, what we like about each one, what we dislike about each one. So, yeah, it's definitely gonna be a good time. So look for that, at least part one of that. Early this week.
And we also just did a look back at the 20th anniversary of Remember the Titans with Denzel Washington. So please check that out if you haven't already. We literally just released it on Tuesday, so it's still fresh out of the oven if you want to check out more of our content. So again, ladies and gentlemen in the chat, thank you so much. You guys were wonderful. And Mark, so happy you're back. Dion and Matthew, thanks so much for coming in on this NerdCage Live Assemble. We absolutely had a ball tonight.
Yes, for sure. And I do have to plug this first because in my thing I didn't say it too, but you guys, you're all beautiful souls. Dion, it was very nice to finally be on stream with you. And also, I will have to say, I do need to catch up on your stuff off the Beaten podcast. And when I do, I know that I'm going to have the same reaction as Jay and Mark do. You're an incredible guy. I hope I get a chance sometime in the future to meet you if I get a chance to go to Chicago or vice versa.
We plan on to. We don't know if it's going to happen, but we plan on going to Chicago. We just don't know if it's going to happen.
Oh, for sure.
But it's been great, man. I've had such a great time. Like I said, I'm honored and privileged to be with you guys on stream. And it's great. It's just great.
Oh, thank you so much, brother. I can't wait to meet you in person. So that's it.
Remember, autographs are $100 a pop now. But for you, $79.
$99.99.
Plus shipping and handling, which is me giving it 5 feet to you.
We'll have to do a NerdCage Live reassemble for sure. All right, so everybody, before we go, we ask you to pretty please like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell and spread this shit like syphilis. So the USA, from Louisville to Los Angeles to Chicago to Syracuse, New York, and to all of our friends and fans around the world at NerdCage Live, enjoy life, stay safe, and good night.
Sayonara.
See you later.
Ooh, trying to get out of the nerd cage, are ya? Well, before you go, hit that subscribe button. And if you're really intrigued, ring that bell. Thank you for dropping by. Until next time, tell everyone you know about NerdCage Live!
Thank you, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys were absolutely wonderful. Everyone stay safe out there. We will do this again. We'll see you next week.
See ya.